Alright, how's it going everybody? This is John and I'm going to show you guys my video game today. Oh, yeah. Anywho, bear with me while I get this all set up. So basically, I'm going to show you guys my game. I use a Game Maker. This is a Game Maker Studio. It's Yo-Yo Games. I currently have the license just to create the applications for Windows. But I plan on making apps for iOS and Android, which basically you'll see all right here. Once I buy the rights to these, I can just export my file to it, but I only currently have Windows right now. So basically, to just jump into what my game is, it's kind of just a pet project of mine. You can see that there's really the way it works out is you have your sprites, your objects, and then your rooms. Kind of like what the sprites are is the artwork kind of involved. You can see you have quite a bit. So let's just see real quick. This is actually kind of might show you guys like how my animations work. Ooh, look at my idle. Okay, so this is one of my characters, and let me see. We're gonna go ahead and do this. Show preview. He's blinking really fast, but yeah, that's my idle animation. We can slow it down here real quick. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like in the game. Anyways, so that kind of shows you that you got to make all all those slides, so that's kind of interesting. That's just my avatar. I only have one right now. These are some objects, some characters in the game. I call them Evos. It's just kind of what I've been using right now. You can see that this is like a bear sprite I made because this is a pet RPG, but these are just real rough. One second, let me click that. Real rough sprites I made. Basically, just zoom in. You can see you can do all that good stuff. Yeah, it takes some time. I'll tell you what. But I mean, it's fun. It's a serious addiction. Once you kind of get into the techniques behind making some decent sprites, I got to work on those still. But I mean, it's a lot of fun. There's some art. There's a lot of art and design behind all this kind of stuff. And you'll see more of that later. It's kind of a interesting little thing. It's super confusing, but honestly, the way that they have this all set up, it's quite easy. But anyways, you can see I have my spells, my GUI, which is my user interface, my menu. There's quite a bit that's gone into this. I've worked pretty hard on it. Currently don't have any sounds. I haven't really used much backgrounds. Not running much script out of this. I mean, my objects run the script themselves, so I mean, you can run them in multiple areas, but as far as utilizing this, I haven't yet. I haven't really worked into much of the shaders either. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff I haven't utilized yet, but that'll all come with time. I don't want to overwhelm myself. As you can see here, here's all my objects, and basically the objects are what you code. So if you look at my player, you can see just right here we have our create object, and here's where sec. I want to see my code. Bear with me. Execute piece of code. I wonder why it's not showing. Oh, there it goes. That's interesting. Other file should show. It's probably just because I just got my computer set up. But here's a good showcase of just kind of like the basic code commands for movement. You can see my key left, key right, key up, key enter. That's just kind of like the basic functions that you use to move around. So here it defines your user input. Here's the movements and the animations that kind of go into it, which is kind of interesting. Ignore this variable; it's just something I've been playing around with. Speed boost, kind of just trying to based on what pet choice you have, I guess, and get a little speed boost. So we're gonna go down to, here's some menu code. Basically you press menu and the menu is gonna pop up. Pretty basic. The neutral input, this is kind of interesting. When you're, and these variables right here, this is your horizontal speed and your vertical speed. Basically when these are 0, that's kind of like, when you're not pressing anything. So you kind of make that known, and it helps out with a lot of things as far as referencing goes. Okay, so like you look at the player animations, this is like, for the background, this is kind of interesting. It's just basically to make the player stay put, and do his idle animation, because in the actual battleground you're going to be using your pet, which has its own script. This is just the pathway movement animation. So basically, you have your X and your Y and the speed, and then on top of the object parent path, and then this is how you kind of get the animations to work. So I don't want to go too far into this right now, so it's because they can be kind of confusing to explain all this. So we're just going to keep going down. Really important, code to have is the, your collision detection for your walls. Obviously, you don't want people to get out of your levels, so you got to have this, comment right here. And this is actually, this is probably like one of the more important little pieces, even though this is it's just this little bit of code right here. But a very important little piece, that's your commit code. And that basically tells the computer itself, the binary language, that the X and the Y is going to be plus or equal to the X is going to be plus and equals to the horizontal speed. So it's I don't know, it's an interesting tidbit. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it. I'm sorry, but it's you can actually look up quite a bit about this, and yeah, it's very interesting. You can get an object to move just with that, so that's kind of cool. Here's the level up code. Basically, I only have up to 9. Just don't really want to waste a whole lot of space doing this, so I was going to figure out, I mean, right now it's just a prototype, so I'm just playing around with a lot of things, but that's just for the player itself. Hopefully it opens up the create code, because that's really important. Showcase. Here we go. Alright, cool. So these are, since your character is going to be the person that actually, stores all the values throughout the game, this is why he carries all the integers. He's your only persistent object. So everything, this is basically, when you start the game, these are all the values that you're going to start off with, and then based off what you do in the game, these values will change, which is kind of cool. Not very organized, I know. It's kind of like just something that this all looks like gobbledygook probably, but to me it makes sense as far as how it's set up. So here's your global damage. So your global damage right now is set up to 10 hit points basically. So I mean, that's if you kind of get an idea. You start off with 100 HP. The enemy starts off with 100 HP. All that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting how, vertical and horizontal speed, block, all that good stuff, anyways, let's check that. Okay. Oh yeah, and this is pretty important. This just restarts the game if I press R, so, you always, whenever you're debugging, you always need to have something like that. If your game glitches out, or if you're just testing something and then you're stuck and you have no way to restart the game, this is the easiest way to address that. Just address a key. In this case, I did R, obviously, for restart, and it just restarts the game. So pretty important. Okay, so here's a lot of other here's the other objects basically as far as the game goes. This is going to be your pet basically, and the pet has different skins, but he starts off with this little stock skin right here. But so you can see he has his own create code. Doesn't really start off with much. I'm using different variables for his speed because he actually has the physics I was playing around with acceleration and that kind of stuff. So he actually is using these variables that are built into the game, which is kind of interesting. If going further into this game, as I'm going to develop, I'm probably going to have to use the built-in variables, just because the built-in variables work with the built-in acceleration, and unless I want to go and make my own algorithms and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately everything I've read works a lot better as far as having smooth gameplay. So I figured it's pretty important to switch over to that. You can also see that your pet's gonna start off with 10 energy, which is kind of gonna be like your ammunition essentially to shoot in the game. So here's the if-end statements, the combat essentially, and the movement. So here's the combat for the red spell. Here's the combat code for the blue spell. Kind of interesting. Based off of what you select in a menu will change, returns a variable, and that actually changes the spell, what it looks like, the values associated with that spell, all that good stuff. Basically the way it works out is it's all based off of colored squares inside of the battleground, and then certain spells cost a certain amount. You'll see, it's kind of interesting. Here's the regain for your energy. So when you're moving around, if you are standing still, you won't regain energy, but when you start moving around, like dodge, you'll start to regain energy. So that's how that works. And here's all the purchase, yada yada yada. Real boring stuff, I know. Let's see. Alright, so let's go ahead and, and you have to have, obviously, there's all these guys have their own code, so here's a spell. So you can see the, just the sheer volume of time I've put into this. It's pretty interesting. So here's actual level development and design right here. These are your rooms. So I have the rooms that you actually walk through, and then you actually have your menu system, which ended up being quite a few rooms in themselves. Kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and I'll show you so this is the room I've been working on the most as far as sprites and all that good stuff goes. But you can, oh no, Control Z. Here we go. Accidentally did something. Alright, so here's so every single one of these blocks is essentially, something I designed as a sprite, and, these are all, it basically, if you understand a little bit of coding jargon, this is a set of arrays, and every single one of these guys has a different value inside of it. So this is a wall, and this is going to block, and you kind of get the idea from there. But essentially all you really do is you design you design the sprite, code the object, drag and drop into this room, and then debug and cross your fingers, right? So essentially, you can also attach things called creation code. This is how you warp in between the rooms, and you can see the coordinates, and then target R to that associated room. Lots of time wasted, essentially. Not wasted, It's funny, I was just working on this water animation, and it's incredible, just like the amount of time and just thought that really goes into how all this is set up. It's kind of interesting. So anyways, let's go ahead, and I'm just going to jump right into my game right now. Let's see, let's hope everything goes good, because I'm streaming and I hope nothing goes crazy. But it shouldn't, it's not too crazy. Oh, we go. And so basically it's writing it for me right now. Everything went good. Otherwise, basically, if you don't get to this screen, if nothing's working, then you have a bug. So yeah, it's a house of cards. Everyone knows that when you program. Excuse me, I'm gonna drink some coffee. Yeah. Oh, I love coffee. Alright, so here's the first room. This is the very first room I ever made. You can see my little walk animation, blah blah blah. And this is kind of like the pet. I just kind of made him, he used to not move, but now he kind of moves around based off of where you're positioned, I guess, or, yada yada. Pretty cool stuff, right? Here's the second room. I was like, alright, now I gotta figure out how to way to get in between rooms. So this is what this room essentially serves as a purpose. Um, Not a whole lot going on in here. And, there's no story, no sound, nothing like that. Let me move the mouse, of course, because I don't use the mouse. Mouse is not included or really used in this game right now. But yeah, so gonna go down to the room where everything else is kind of like, well, here's the real game essentially. So I have this little, battleground. You got the winner square. Oop, ran into a wall. Winner square. Right now we walk really slow because we don't have a good pet equipped. And the keep training square, because there's no such thing as a loser in my world. Everybody just gets better. Ha ha. So you can see I haven't really messed around with any of the any of these guys over here. Essentially what I've been doing is shrinking down these sprites and laying them all one by one by one in a smaller ratio to kind of get a better, kind of look to it as far as background's gonna go. Gonna be able to lay down some other objects in the foreground, kind of like how my guy is standing on top of it, like some grass and because every game's got to have grass that you can cut down in it, because there's nothing better than, cutting grass like Zelda. I feel like that's the only reason why they have it, so can't wait to do that. Haven't really gotten the combat engine out here set up yet. That's really what I'm working on. Here's a side that I have worked on, like I was saying. Here's the, my little water animation I was working on. Kinda dupe-a-dupe, I know, but hey, it's a lot more tough than you think. I can remember back when games were first being developed for consoles, and water animation is definitely a toughie, especially in a pixelated, little 2D world like this. Obviously, I'm only using X and Y. There's no Z coordinate, so it's kind of like a Pokemon-ish type feel. And yeah, so I mean that's kind of it as far as world exploration goes. I know, really thrilling, right? So here's my menu system, and this is kind of what I've been working on as far as changing the dynamics in the game. So here, the first part is your Evo info, your inventory, and then your equip screen. Stats currently doesn't do anything, so notice you can't really get into it. Here's the back screen. Well, I'll show all of you that later, but here we're gonna go ahead and pick a pet real quick. So we're gonna go to my pet tree, and just for giggles, I'm gonna pick my cat, because my cat is awesome. That's Marilyn. That's right, he's really cool. And then here we go, we're gonna go back, and we're gonna go right back to the battlegrounds. I made these warp points. This is it's gonna be a kind of an interesting part of my world exploration goes. Because essentially I want to be able to let people warp to whatever they want to go to after they explore. But initially, what you're going to start off with is both of these zones. Anyways, as you can see, we move a lot faster now, and Marilyn is hanging out with us. So now we're going to go into our first little battleground. This is the very first battleground I ever made. You can see the checkered squares because, yes, I actually did make a little chessboard, and every good game was a paper-based game at one time. So you can see, oh yeah, I just pwned that guy. Yeah. Go back in here. The only reason why I'm going back in here is to show you guys the first GUI I made, which is in the bottom part of the screen. You can see the energy return, and you can see the acceleration, the friction slowing me down. So your person's kind of set on autocast, and you can see how we bounce off of each other. Yeah. So here's the second battleground. So I was kind of working on more of the overhead user interface, and adding some walls, kind of making it a little bit more dynamic. You bounce off the walls, which is kind of interesting. Had a really interesting time working with getting stuck in these guys during this part, so made it so you can push each other around. It's just a real rough prototype, and that's what happens when you lose, or, well, there's no such thing as losing, so you just gotta keep training, right? Okay, I wonder if we gotten enough. So we can go back to here, and we're gonna go to the skill tree. and I do have some points. Fantastic. So we hit level 2. So that means we leveled up. So now we have my little mock skill tree at the moment. Don't really have much right now. It's just kind of playing around with stuff. But I have HP steal, energy boost, and then some red and damage blue buff, and then a faster cast rate, which is kind of fun to play around with. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see, what should we do? We'll do HP steal. And you can see the little return right there for the value spent. And now you no longer have that, and we're at level 2. And you can do this all the way up to level 9. Kind of load into as much of this as possible. Once you basically get to here, you just destroy the guy at the bottom. Because I only have those 2 battlegrounds set up, so we can actually go back to the battleground. Show you guys. We'll go in here and we'll go fight this guy again. We'll just go Rig Raffle Stomp him because I've played him a million times and I know exactly how he works. But yeah, you bounce around. You see a little fire animation off the wall, which is, you'd be surprised, like all those little things are really like interesting, like the things you don't really normally associate when you play with a game, but when you make a game, it's interesting. Like you gotta, I don't know, it's just, there's all those little things, it's crazy. Anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this up and go to the next little aspect of my game. So I wanted to add like an inventory and kind of like like a dungeon feel. So this is kind of like the first thing I did. I made a maze, and I'm gonna show you guys like kind of like a little side game I was playing around with. And actually, when I was in my computer programming, or when I was in my game design class, my teacher really enjoyed this. He's like, man, because a lot of good games are really basic, and he's just like, sticking with the basics makes things a lot easier as far as fixing things. And so he was really impressed like that. I just slapped this together in like 4 hours in class, and I was like, oh, look at this, I made this while we were in lecture and lab. And he was like, goodness gracious. He was like, a lot of people, it's funny, once you essentially make all the objects and the code, then you can kind of be creative and decide what you want to do with them. It's like Legos essentially. You can see I'm probably gonna die. I only have 4 HP. So this is it's a tough little game, but if we get to the end, we get a sweet sword, and that's oh no, that's what RPGs are about, right? Sweet loots. Anyways, do it again. Let's go. Maybe I won't talk as much this time, so that way I can focus. Oh, that's not good. Down to 36. Maryland was made before I made this guy, so this is interesting. 20, no! Ultra hard mode. Gripping, I know, to watch. You guys are probably all in your seats like, oh man, super intense, God. Really, to be honest, like, the whole trick with this thing is to be patient, which is kind of funny. Like, I'm gonna run over this, then I'm gonna run over here. Doop doop doo. If you try running through this, it's pretty tough. I think that's what's fun about it. Whenever I have people that have never like actually played it, or haven't watched me play it, they just try to run through this, and you just get Rig Raffle stomped by it. But if you actually take your time and kind of like skip across, oh, we might make this. I think we got this. We got this. We got this. Oh, we got this. Yeah! Made it. Here's my sword. Alright, let's pick it up. Shashow. And unfortunately, I haven't gotten to the point with, like I said, I haven't gotten to, actually making the sword useful aside just sitting in your inventory. But yeah, we got an item. So yeah, that's basically it. Really, I mean, here's the equip screen, but I mean, I don't have any of the code right now to make it work. Oh, we're level We're level 3 now. Go back to our Evo info. Yeah. Anywho, yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. Like I said, that's my game. It's just it's just a basic prototype, but you know, as I go through it and as I learn stuff, I definitely think I have a chance to once I get all the animations down. I'm only one person, and you know, don't really have that much experience with with completing projects, and as far as doing my first project, I guess I really started big, and I was like, oh, I want to do my dream RPG, and everybody I've talked to as far as getting your game started, starting your own game portfolio, they're like, do something basic like Asteroids or like Candy Crush or something like that, and I'm like, oh, I want to do a pet RPG, and I'm like, oh. Now I can see why, like, oh, this is gonna take me forever, but at the same time, it's extremely addicting, like once upon a time, this guy was just a little square, and now look at him. It's just so it's kind of cool to give something life in a digital space. But as far as I think that's what kind of drives me as far as trying to just play around with this and learn as much as possible. It's kind of like my I don't know, like Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, where they up in the top part of the attic they have the model. I really think about that. This is like my digital model. It's saved to my computer. I own all the rights behind my code. It's all my own code, all my own sprites. Everything has been laid down by me, created by myself. I have been doing a lot of YouTube tutorials as far as how things work, how to use the actual system itself. But aside from that, it's all been just my noggin. R and R restarts everything. So yeah. Anyways, that's my game. I'm gonna keep making more of these videos just to show you guys how this will progress for me in the future. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas or anything you think I should include in the game, let me know. Aside from that, thank you for watching, and yeah.